You are listening to the 5 a.m. podcast, and today is your day. Good morning, dreamers and doers. Welcome to the 5 a.m. podcast. I'm your host, Michael Clausen, and today we're joined by a man whose life embodies the very essence of transformation. Alan Lazarus is the founder and CEO of Next Level University. Alan's journey began with the profound loss of his father, who passed away in a car accident when he was just 2 years old. Then at 26, Alan himself survived a near-fatal car accident that became the catalyst for a complete life reevaluation. In that moment of reckoning, Alan confronted a powerful truth. Despite appearing successful on the outside, he's struggling with pain, with regret, feelings of abandonment on the inside. This revelation launched him on a path of holistic self-improvement that has since become his life's mission. For over a decade, Alan has dedicated himself to helping others reach their unique potential in health, wealth, and love. With more than 10,000 hours of coaching, training, and podcasting experience, his impact has reached over 1 million people across 180 countries, more than 2,100 podcast episodes. What makes Alan's approach unique is his heart-driven, yet no-nonsense methodology that addresses both external success and internal fulfillment. Understanding that one without the other creates an empty victory. Alan,
Whoa.
Thanks for joining us at the 5 a.m. podcast.
Michael, first of all, that was an awesome intro. Thank you. I know some of that was from my bio, but you also spiced it up a bit. Strong work, attitude of gratitude first. I remember 10 years ago when I first got into this space after that car accident you mentioned, it was crickets. So I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much. And I will not waste a second of anyone's time.
Oh, man, I'm so glad that you could come and share your experience. Our 5 a.m. community is all about transformation. Well, it's in the title, 5 a.m. So sunrises, early mornings, getting up sometimes before that big ball of fire is not even above the horizon yet. And people are out crushing it or looking for the right tools to crush it. As you were going through your experiences, building what you've built, there must have been some tools that you had to learn about, that you had to find. And I know I want to do this. I'm just not sure. Can you talk a little bit about the tools that you found, maybe some of the people that came along to shed some light and knowledge on your path?
Well, the first thing is you mentioned that my life started hard. I'll go very brief with this, but essentially my dad was John McCorkle. And in 1991, he died suddenly in a car when he was 28. Wow. So I was 2 at the time. I had an older sister who was 6 and a mom who was 31. And I had a stepfather from age 3 to 14. That's why my last name is Lazarus. His name was Steve Lazarus. And that was sort of the abandonment thing that you mentioned in the bio, which is, he left my family at 14, took his entire extended family with him. And we went from sort of boats and ski trips in the, 90s and early 2000s to now I don't know how I'm going to afford college type of thing.
Yeah.
So I bootstrapped my way through high school, the whole nine, but I eventually got in a car accident at 26. That's what you mentioned as well. And that's when I found personal growth, personal development, self-improvement, mental health. And that's when I started living from the inside out instead of the outside in.
Yeah.
Because before that, I was kind of an achiever. My stepdad left, took 90% of the income with him. So I was like, okay, we're in trouble. No trust fund, no dad, no generational wealth. So I'm going to go achieve. And I did. Computer engineering, master's in business. And I eventually became a global 1% earner in my early 20s.
Wow. Yeah.
Then I got in a car accident. And that's when I was like, oh, so I've been running on this interesting polar opposite of my pain. My pain was abandonment and being broke because we didn't have cable, and my mom trades in her BMW for a little Honda Civic. How do we keep the house in the family type of thing when my stepdad left? To I was running from my pain. And then after my car accident, that's when I realized, okay, I got to go back inside and I got to stop running from my pain. I got to face it. And now I have a therapist. Her name is Carol. But to answer your original question, what tools along the way and sort of the people?
Yeah.
There's a couple things. So there's a woman named Bronnie Ware who wrote a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Wow. And after my car accident at 26, she's from Australia. I actually got to interview her 4 years later, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But that book, if you've never read it, she has a TED Talk as well. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
And actually, I have these flashcards that are all tattered and ripped up that I used to
Yeah.
carry with me everywhere I went. And the top 5 regrets of the dying is one of them. The number 1 regret of the dying is I wish I had lived a life true to myself and not what others expected of me.
Wow.
And so she worked in hospice for 8 years, and she wrote a book about it, how she found that these people had similar regrets. And so when I found that book after my car accident, I said, you know what? I'm going to reverse engineer regret. And I'm going to make sure that I start with the end in mind, and I'm going to make sure that I don't end up old and miserable like a lot of the people I grew up with. And so that was 10 years ago. I'm 36 now. I was 26 at the time. And Bronnie Ware helped me turn my life around. Another was Tony Robbins' TED Talk, Why We Do What We Do. Yeah. Regardless of what you think of Tony, the TED Talk is magnificent. And that's when I found personal growth, personal development, self-improvement. And then I started my own company. It was what you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know. Alan Lazarus, LLC. Yeah. And so that was 10 years ago. And that's kind of where Next Level University was born. But the tools along the way to get very, very, very specific, the number 1 tool, if you were to ask me, like, what changed your life the most? 10 years ago, I have these little black notebooks, a bunch of them, stacked up over here in the corner of my office, and habit tracking. I started just mechanical pencil. I started writing down a system of success is what I called it, system of success. Okay. 3 categories, 5 habits under each category, and then I just started checking them off and then erasing them, checking them off every single day. I have and now I do it in Google Sheets. Everyone on my team, 18-person team, every one of my clients, 21 clients, we all track metrics and habits every day. And so that's the one tool that if I couldn't give you any other advice and you never saw me again,
right?
Habit tracking, to me, I use the joke. What if Michael Phelps's coach was like, yeah, just jump in, swim around? Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of people don't measure. I'm an engineer, I love numbers, and I measure everything that matters. There's a book called Measure What Matters, and so that's the number 1 tool.
Yeah, that's great, because if we can measure something, we can control it, and we can see what needs to be changed or what our strengths, where our weaknesses are. Your approach then to self-improvement is distinctively holistic, focusing on that health and wealth and love, rather than isolating it down into one thing. Why do you believe that these 3 pillars must work in harmony, and what happens if one of those pillars gets neglected?
Yeah, 100%. So I had a bunch of mentors and coaches in my sort of come up and in my 20s. Okay. And that can be painful because when you mature, you realize a lot of them aren't what you thought they were or whatever. What I've come to realize now is that many of them were wealthy but not healthy. And many of them were wealthy and healthy, but not in love. And my truth, as much as I am grateful for several of my mentors and coaches, is that none of them were healthy, wealthy, and in love. And it scared me. Like, I don't want to be a multimillionaire or a billionaire and be divorced.
Yeah.
Like, I want to live the most magnificent life possible. And in my early 20s, I used to say, I'm trying to figure out the formula to not end up old and miserable like everybody else. And that was my sort of early 20s ego version. But now I have something called a pyramid of fulfillment with 21 categories. We teach it in our group coaching program. We actually are coming up on our 20th group now. But basically, I've been a math-brained kid who really has tried to figure out. I've looked around and realized that the majority of people, statistically speaking, end up very unhappy, very unfulfilled. And they're either healthy but not wealthy, or they're healthy and wealthy but not in love. And if you crunch the numbers, I know why. So if you're top 1% in health, top 1% in wealth, and top 1% in love, you are immediately 1 in a million. So the math is 1 over 100 times 1 over 100 times 1 over 100, which is 100 times 100 times 100 is a million. So you're 1 in a million. If you're top 1% in health, wealth, and love, you're 1 in a million. That's 3 full-time jobs. Yeah. Now, if you break down the numbers, we all have 168 hours in a week. Hopefully, we're sleeping 8 times 7, which is 56, which gives you 112 hours left. And in those 112 waking hours every week, you have 3 full-time jobs: health, wealth, and love. Health is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Wealth is how you earn money. In other words, do you have meaningful work that is in your passion.
Yeah.
That you're good at. Is that money increasing or decreasing over time? I always say don't sell horses when the car is invented. People get upset. They're like, I love horses.
Yes.
It's a metaphor.
Yes.
And then the third one is, where do you invest your money? And then love is the hardest one for me. I'm an engineer, so that one came hard.
Yeah.
We started 5 years ago, Emilia and I, my beautiful girlfriend and future wife, we started a podcast called the Conscious Couples Podcast. And we've done 51 what we call relationship talks virtual events. We do them every month.
Wow.
And for 5 years now, her more than me, she does the slides and the content because she's been studying this stuff since she was 12. I was the external guy, science,
Wow.
technology, engineering,
Okay.
mathematics, business, and finance. She was the inner world. And it's been tremendous to learn that stuff. But I always was good at success, but bad at relationships. And she was mostly inner focused, inner world stuff, internal family systems and cognitive behavioral therapy and trauma certified, all this stuff. So, and I didn't know what the hell I was talking about any of that. That's typical American male, right? But anyways, so health, wealth, and love. Love is intimate relationship, immediate family, pets included. And then you've got extended family, and then you've got your clients, you've got your mentors, mentees, colleagues, the relationships that ripple outward, and friends. So very few people have health, wealth, and love. And then even when you do have all three of those, now it's a mountain that gets higher as you climb it. Because I'm healthy, wealthy, and in love, but it's all relative. I'm not wealthy compared to Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
Right? But I am top 1% in all three. And at the end of the day, the old me couldn't even have said that out loud because I was such a social coward. But now it's, okay, what can I do to help other people become healthy, wealthy, and in love? And that's why I was late, actually. I was on a coaching session with a man named Justin, and I have 21 clients that I help become healthy, wealthy, and in love. And I think it's hard because most people look to you for one specific thing. Mm-hmm. Very few engineers are good at fitness, and very few engineers are good at fitness and in love. So to me, it just never made any sense to not be all three. I would consider myself a massive failure if I didn't have all three.
Wow. So then that kind of sounds like we could talk about peak performance. And what was there like a practical step that our audience can take to get towards peak performance in these three areas? It might sound like a daunting task to some people, but it sounds like you can't fully have one without the others.
So peak performance is, I did all kinds of different, I've been coaching for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I started out with interesting modalities. So I started out as a fitness coach. Okay. I was fitness model, fitness competitor, fitness coach. I went into the fitness rabbit hole after my car accident, because before my car accident, I was drinking too much and too often. I was very sick. I was wealthy, and again, wealthy. I had $150,000 in a Vanguard account that was growing in my early 20s. I made almost 200 grand a year. So it's all relative, obviously, but I was doing very well financially. So the wealth portion was growing, green and growing. But the fitness, forget it. I mean, just 160-pound unhealthy man. Wasn't taking care of my health. I had the love piece. But then I went all in on fitness. And it was fitness coach, fitness competitor, fitness model. I did 43 photo shoots. Wow. Before I pivoted. So I did fitness coaching, then I did mindset coaching, then I did peak performance coaching. Then I did business consulting, and then I did business coaching eventually, which is what I've been doing the last few years. And the peak performance piece is this idea of an optimal stopping problem. As an engineer, there's 4 modalities of thinking, and I'll try to be brief. Sure. That I've sort of uncovered. I have 11,322 coaching sessions, trainings, and podcasts, and all people all over the world. So what I've accumulated in terms of different people, different cultures, different backgrounds, like different industries, different careers. It's teachers, people in real estate, people in finance. I mean, it's been tremendous. And what I've come to realize is that we all have a different way of thinking. And this is why a lot of us don't get along too, by the way. Mine happens to be the rarest, I think. and it's the math modality of thinking. So so I'll give you all four. So the first one is mathematics, numbers, and equations.
Okay.
The second, and that's the rarest. That makes you an automatic weirdo that no one likes, basically. Number two is words, conversations, and concepts. So dog, everyone knows that concept, right?
Yes.
They don't know all 500 breeds of canine, but
that's right.
You understand. Then you've got the third one, which is vision, pictures, and images, the artists and the visionaries.
Yeah.
And then you've got the rarest, the second rarest, I think, is energy, vibe, and intuition. And women tend to be better than men at this. So we all have all four, first of all. But we have one really good one that we use all the time, our dominant hand, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And then we have one really bad one. So I always picture an athlete, righty, lefty, and then left and right leg.
Yes.
And if you're in a sport that requires all your limbs, it's like we have one hand tied behind our back that we never use and one really dominant hand or leg.
Yes.
And so for me, it's all math. Everything's numbers, right? I can tell you my GPA. I can tell you my class rank. I can tell you my girlfriend's GPA. Like everything is numbers. And that's why I have trouble communicating, to be honest. Most engineers are terrible at communication.
Yeah.
But anyways, so why am I talking about this? Peak performance, I now realize, is something that a very small percentage of us understand mathematically. And I'm gonna explain it in a way that I hopefully lands for everybody. So if you got an X and a Y axis, there's something called an optimal stopping problem. And we all remember the min and the max point and the min point from school.
Yes.
It's like an upside down horseshoe. It's called a hyperbola. And the max is the peak performance, the top of the mountain. And this is obviously a metaphor. If you put the nachos in for 3.5 minutes, they burn. If you put them in for 30 seconds, they're rubbery and the cheese isn't melted.
Yes.
So the peak performance point is 2.5 minutes or whatever, the center point of that.
Yeah.
So all of us at all times are trying to find the optimal stopping problem of, okay, we're going to the concert. When do we park? The closer we get to the venue, the less likely there's a spot, but we have to park at some point. Mm-hmm. And so everything's an optimal stopping problem. Even me talking about this right now, I'm way past where most people are shut off probably. So that's the problem, is people are into peak performance. They need to be into peak performance in order to achieve their goals.
Right.
But they don't value peak performance. So if you want to be healthy, you have to want fitness mastery. If you want to be wealthy, you have to master finance. If you want to be in love, you have to master love. And the only way to do that is to learn how to be a peak performer in each category. And most people don't even know what the hell it means. And I'm not trying to be mean. It's really alarming to me how many people want to drive nice cars and buy big homes, but have no idea about finance. It's really scary, to be honest. Yeah. And the people that master finance have the big homes, right? So it's really important to understand that peak performance is the beneath the iceberg of every external success you see.
Right. Yeah. So then does that then relate, let's say, to optimization? It's a term we hear frequently. Mm-hmm. Many might misunderstand that term, optimization. How would you define optimization, and why do you feel that it is essential for sustainable success rather than just those short-term endorphin-producing achievements?
So optimization is a whole nother rabbit hole, but it's very, it can work in tandem with peak performance.
Just a reminder that you can get all of our resources, other episodes, and read our blog posts at 5ampodcast.com. 5am Podcast is brought to you in part by mkci.ca, a certified member of the Autodesk Developer Network. MKCI helps companies maximize their AutoCAD, Inventor, Navisworks, and other design software investments. Their innovative products like the CommandSys script editor and the Clash Management Suite will streamline your workflow and boost your productivity. Visit mkci.ca today to discover how they can enhance your competitive CAD advantage. That's mkci.ca. Thank you for your support of 5am Podcast.
Optimization is based on a goal. So right now I'm optimizing for effective communication.
Yeah.
So you told me about your listeners, mostly Americans, some in Canada, some in Argentina, the whole nine. I'm optimizing to try to help the listeners understand optimization. So what you're optimizing for at every moment is different. So if something was wrong with one of my pets or my girlfriend, I would be optimizing for that, not for this. And I just can this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense. But here's the problem. If you don't have any goals, you basically can't optimize. So you can't use Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. You can't. So most people wake up in the morning, and I did the research. So in January of 2024, we do a monthly meetup. We just changed it to monthly master classes, but we've done them for 46 months in a row. 46th month is next month. And we used to call them monthly meetups. Now they're monthly master classes. But they're free events that people come to, and they're on Zoom. We did one, how to set clear goals for 2024 in January 2024. And I did a bunch of deep research. This is before the ChatGPT days.
Okay.
And I found out that a very, very, very small percentage of people have clear written goals. Which for an engineer who's numbers thinking, it's like crazy to me, because I remember playing Halo 2 back in the day, and, Bungie.net, I'm 20th in the world. Like, how do I get to 19th? So for me, I've never not had a goal. 95 or above GPA for all of high school for every report card. Like, everything has a number attached to it. Class rank, 8th in my class. Like, I've never not had a specific number that I was going for. And so I didn't understand, like, how do people wake up and I asked my business partner, Kev, because he doesn't think in numbers. And I said, like, how do you know what to do? He's like, you don't, you just do what you feel like. And I was like, oh, that's like a terrible idea, right? If you just wake up and do what you feel like doing, you're in so much trouble, to be completely honest. But optimization, to answer your original question, requires a goal. Why would someone who doesn't believe in themselves have a goal, though? So if you don't believe in yourself, which is most people, even though they pretend to, right?
Yeah.
You won't set a goal. If you don't set a goal for the future, you're not optimizing for anything. Optimization requires something in the future. You can't just optimize for fun experiences all the time. Imagine if the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, was like, I just want to have fun. Well, you're fired. Oh my God. So we have to grow up. And I'm not trying to be unkind, but I need to challenge everyone listening. I call this loving challenge. If you don't have clear written goals, you're messing up. Like, you need to have clear written goals. One under health, one under wealth, one under love. Just start there. And when I say need, I don't mean need to as in I'm going to force you. I just mean if you don't, you're paying the consequences whether you know it or not. I have some clients that are multimillionaires, that are wildly healthy, wealthy, and successful and in love. And I have some people who are wandering around aimlessly, and they're not going to be successful at all, especially past friends. I don't want to see people suffer. The truth is, the people that are the most fulfilled in this life are the people that are aiming at meaningful goals and optimizing their life accordingly. Now, here's the problem. It gets complex. The goal you set has to be predicated on the byproduct you want. Let me explain. We did a 10-pound in 10-week challenge. Okay. Losing 10 pounds in 10 weeks is, okay, now what? Okay, well, let's lose another 10 pounds. Okay, now what? Okay, why? So we can all go down this sort of existential rabbit hole of why goals even matter. Fulfillment is a byproduct. It's like laughter. I can't force you to laugh. I have to tell a joke in order for you to laugh. Goals are like the joke. Laughter is fulfillment. So without goals, you won't grow and contribute toward them, and then you won't be fulfilled as a byproduct. You won't get the brain chemistry that comes from meaningful progress toward meaningful goals. And there's a book called The Art of Impossible by a man named Stephen Kotler. And we interviewed him in 2019. And in his book, it's one of my favorite books of all time. It's unbelievable. The Art of Impossible by Stephen Kotler. World class. It's right behind me, actually. Yeah. I've read this book dozens of times. And he says that not having goals that we are growing toward is bad for our neurochemistry. And the truth is, it is. So the point of the goal isn't to get the goal. The point of the goal and optimizing for the goal is for the life and the quality of life and the growth and contribution that come as a byproduct. Hopefully that lands. Yeah.
definitely lands with me. That's for sure. Art of Impossible. We will have to add that to our reading list. So you've talked about some of the different clients that you've had and courses and moving forward. Is there maybe kind of one that, and it's not like one size fits all, but maybe it is, of something where you've seen across different people, different nations, or different languages, the thing where someone might say, I'm feeling stuck. And is there a predominant reason as to why they're stuck?
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of reasons.
Yes.
But in coaching, and one-on-one coaching is my favorite because I'm not casting a wide net.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to one specific individual. And the reason it's my favorite is because I don't have to generalize. I don't have to be like, okay, well, because the medicine that you give one patient will kill another.
Yeah.
And so group coaching's harder than one-on-one coaching for me. And then podcasting is even harder than group coaching because I'm talking to a lot of different people right now. Some people are women who are in their early 20s. Some people are men in their late 40s. Those are two very different contexts, very different circumstances, very different countries.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I'll say. Everything is two things simultaneously. It's called duality. There's a book called The Self-Made Billionaire Effect where they studied the 1,200 self-made billionaires on planet Earth. This is back in 2012. There's a lot more than 1,200 now. I think there's 3,800 total, but the self-made ones are probably like 1,500. The point is that there's a chapter that talks about duality, which is holding two seemingly opposing ideas in your consciousness simultaneously. It's not work hard or work smart. It's work hard and work smart.
Right.
People who say work smart, not hard, dumbest shit ever. You have to work hard first, beat your head against the wall, and then innovate.
Uh-huh.
Can you imagine if the CEO of Amazon was like, well, we don't really work hard. We only work smart here. Yeah, right. Then 2-day shipping wouldn't exist. Certainly not 1-day shipping, right? So you have to work really hard and work really smart, and then work really hard again and work really smart. So it's not light or dark. It's not up or down. It's not hard or smart. It's two things simultaneously at all times. So my point of this, to answer your original question, there is no one thing. However, there's principles and then there's context. So principles apply to all of us. We all have certain physiology. We all have certain psychology. We all have certain neuroscience. We all have a specific, the human brain and body and economy works a certain way. However, every economy is different depending on which country you live in. So the principles apply to all of us, but the way you apply those principles needs to be unique to each of us. And you have to work with what your circumstance is. So father died at 2, stepfather left at 14. My circumstances were very different back then. So I had to work with what I had. Now things are very different. So I can play differently. I can play the game differently. And this comes to constraint theory and chaos theory and game theory and all this stuff.
Yeah.
There's two types of games. There's a finite game and an infinite game. A finite game is one game of chess. An infinite game is becoming the best chess master you can be, and it's a mountain that gets higher as you climb it. Life is an infinite game, meaning you never actually arrive. You are always striving and never arriving. People are like, well, that's not really nice. That's how it's set up. Well, don't you want to just be present? Listen. Okay, imagine for a second that someone said, okay, just be present. Don't plan for the future at all. And you're not allowed to learn from the past at all. Don't learn from your experience. Don't think about the past, ever. Never think about the past. You can only stay in the present. And you're not allowed to plan for the future. You have a trip coming up, you're not allowed to plan. You're not allowed to think about it. You're not allowed to strategize about it. Coaching might as well be, hey, let's learn from the past. Let's build in the present toward a bigger, better, brighter future. And let's plan for the future that's coming. AI is coming. Computers. Like, the people who say just stay present, I know what they're trying to say. They're saying get in the zone, be present, don't be overly anxious, don't worry about things you can't control. I get what they're trying to say. But whoever is staying just in the present is losing the game of life.
Yeah.
Imagine if the CEO of Apple or Amazon or whatever was like, you know what, we don't really plan for the future, we just kind of stay in the present. Every other moment of their day is, okay, this is where the economy's heading, this is where technology's heading, this is what consumers want. They're planning, they're thinking, they're strategizing, right? This is what's uniquely human. You've never seen a dog strategizing about quarter over quarter resources.
Yes.
So you are uniquely human. Do not buy into any of this stay in the moment BS. You have to plan for the future.
Yeah.
You have to design it in advance and work toward it. We all have to learn from the past, build in the present, and plan and strategize for a bigger, better, brighter future. You need all three.
Mm-hmm.
But to go back to your original question, there is no one thing. However, there are principles. And if I had to pick one principle, it would be self-belief.
Yeah.
If you look at the most successful people on planet Earth, now this doesn't mean they're good people.
Right.
Holy crap, this doesn't mean they're good people.
Yes.
I wish it did, but it doesn't. Self-belief is number one. Meaning, if you don't believe it, you will not set a goal. If you don't set a goal, you will not optimize. If you do not optimize, you will not get anywhere. And this is the conundrum about self-belief. It's premeditated. If I don't believe in myself, I won't set a goal. But if I don't set a goal, I'll never believe in myself because I'm basically not keeping a promise.
Mm-hmm.
There's something called state-proof self-assign. It's called self-efficacy in the psychology when you study it. But essentially, you can build self-belief, and it's internal, not external. It's conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. My business partner, Kevin, was a rock star baseball player, but he never tried to be. He genuinely thought he got lucky. He didn't decide to be and then go do it. So he didn't build any belief. Whereas I decided, okay, I'm going to get straight A's in high school to try to get the President's Academic Excellence Award. My mom, gave me that idea and I did it. My stepdad left. I didn't know how I was going to go to college, so I needed financial aid and scholarships. So I was like, okay, so state-proof self-assign is the formula. I stated, I'm going to get straight A's in high school. Then I worked my butt off to prove it. Then I self-assigned it once I did it. So I built all this belief. Unfortunately, the majority of people are running around acting like they have 10 out of 10 self-belief when in reality, deep down, they actually don't believe in themselves. Why would everyone right now, think of someone who is what I call a pufferfish. They act like they're 10 out of 10 confident. Why would someone who's 10 out of 10 confident have level 2 goals? Or no goals at all?
Yeah.
It's all fake. It's all fake. And that's what they're trying to, they don't want anyone to find out they don't actually believe in themselves. That's why they bully people. That's why they avoid challenge. That's why they don't grow. So what we all have to do, the one principle I would give to everybody is we have to build self-belief authentically inside of ourselves. You state, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. And then you show up and keep the promise you made to yourself. And then after you go to the gym, you go, I did that. Yeah. And again, all this is done kind of automatically in our subconscious and unconscious brain, which is far more powerful than our conscious. But what I didn't realize is a lot of people didn't like me when I was younger and they thought I was arrogant. And what I've come to realize, and some of that is true, but most of it is just I had so much self-belief that I had built because I never did anything without deciding in advance to do it because of my engineering mind. And so I've never just like wung it and had things work out. For me, things didn't work out. It was actually pretty terrible in my childhood. So I had to kind of plan everything. And my buddy, my business partner, Kev, we had our first $100,000 month recently.
Nice.
And he's like, dude, aren't you going to celebrate? And I was like, brother, I knew this was coming. Like this was all calculated, Yeah. And I said, by the way, Kev, this has nothing to do with what we did this month. This has to do with everything we've done over the last 8 years since we started the company. And quite frankly, stuff I was doing when I was younger. So it's an accumulation. And so for him, he's like, holy crap, $100,000 a month. For me, it's like, yes, that makes perfect sense based on our projections, based on our past, based on where we were headed. Right. And so some people are very shocked when they succeed. Some people are like, honestly, I should have succeeded by more. If you've ever seen a Tom Brady after a football game, he always says, well, we honestly probably should have won by at least 14 more points. He's looking at everything he did wrong. And why? Because he knew that he was going to win because he prepared better than the other team. He wasn't certain, but he had a high percentage statistical probability of winning because that wasn't a very good team. And he has a ton of self-belief. That's why most of what he says doesn't land for people.
Right.
Because he has so much self-belief. People without self-belief, they don't resonate with most of what I say, unfortunately. Because they're like, well, yeah, it sounds real easy, but like, what do you mean? But the truth is that's how it actually works.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. I really appreciate you giving that answer because it helps our listeners, helps myself, other people to understand, like you make the plan and work the plan. And kind of, to me, it speaks of how J.D. Rockefeller he'd have a 100-year plan for every dollar that his company made. Sorry, we
Nice.
can't spend that here because it's on this track to go this way for the next 100 years. And we're kind of programmed and taught to think maybe in the football season cycle, hockey season cycle, baseball. We've got all these things throughout the year. We've got holidays, and then we've got political cycles. We're programmed for the midterm elections and then the year end, 4-year elections, all of that stuff. But we have to rise above all of that and think about those dollars that J.D. Rockefeller had. Wow, 100-year plan. You're not even going to be alive in 100 years. He didn't care. He had a 100-year plan, and every day that 100-year plan moved a little farther down the road. It's like maybe an entertainment reporter talking to somebody that it appears they have a one-hit wonder. And that musician, like you said to Kevin, who's a great guy, by the way, his episode's going to be coming out
Thank
too.
you, as if it's yes, he is a great guy, as if it was me.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that musician will say, no, this isn't a one-hit wonder, man. This is like 20 years of playing in the bars and at school gyms and soccer fields or football stadiums. Not even like, I'm talking like high school football stadiums,
yeah, of course,
and ballparks. And it's this precept upon precept and line upon line, and knowing that you plant that seed and that seed dies in the ground, but it gives birth to a bucket full of seed. And then year after year, that life of that seed that we buried in the ground 20 years ago, man, it's still producing. We've
100%.
got like 120-year-old maple tree in our yard. It's like a sculpture and work of art now.
Nice.
And the amount of seeds that fall off, we could give a seed to every single person in our town every single year from that tree. And if they planted it, man, that tree is living the dream. So as we're wrapping up here, people need to know how they can get in touch with you.
Michael, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And the truth of the matter is in the past I was challenged with explaining what you just explained. Some people are not thinking about this year at all.
Wow.
Some people really are thinking, like, I have a goal for how long I want to live. And I'm even scared to share it because it's so weird. There are certain people who don't think about the now. They think about the next century. Yeah. Sometimes some people really can take themselves out of the times they live in. And my goal is to live to 120. I can't guarantee it, but I do know longevity is something I'm focused on every day, and I'm going to maximize every day until then. And in a world where most people are chasing short-term pleasure, be the long-term thinker.
Yeah.
Be the one. This podcast episode, if there's anything valuable in it, it's because of the thousands I've done before. You can get that good when you just work on it and you build up. I was in the gym earlier today and I was having a tough day. We're supposed to get an hour in. We can only get 45 minutes in because my first call was at noon. We woke up a little late. Here I am on a 5 a.m. podcast. My bad. We woke up a little late. And I'm sitting there going, okay, we're only getting 45 minutes, damn. And I said, Alan, just make progress. Just make progress. We do an hour a day every day. So we're going to do a 15-minute walk later, 45 minutes in the gym. We always get an hour in every single day. Just make progress. You don't have to be perfect. This doesn't have to be a perfect workout. Just make progress. Just make progress. Just make progress. Just make progress. Now I'm gonna leave you with this. You can do this. Anyone can do this. Just don't do it in ChatGPT because ChatGPT has been pretty atrocious with numbers. Okay. Go to a financial calculator and you put $1 in it. $1. Actually do this. You owe it to yourself to do this. You put $1 in the financial calculator and you grow it by 0.1% per day. 0.1% per day, 0.1% per day. Just a little bit better, a tiny bit better each day. If you do 50 years, it becomes $84 million.
Wow.
Here's the scary part. People don't like me for this. Okay. Don't villainize me. This is the math. If you take weekends off, That's 52 times 5, which is 260 days a year. 260 times 50. You can do the math. It's 13,000. 13,000 days instead of the every day.
Yeah.
It becomes $439,000.
Wow.
So you get 191 times less money when you just take weekends off. That is the power of the compound effect. I am not saying you have to work every weekend. I am saying those days matter too.
Yeah.
And these little wins that you stack each day, you become very powerful. No one achieves huge success overnight that's sustained over time. Tiger Woods was on a golf course at 3. Like, these people are playing basketball. Kobe Bryant played when he was 13, and he decided when he was 13 that he was going to play the long game and that he would be one of the best of all time. Now, he also happened to be 6'7". I understand. Not all of us are going to be Michael Phelps. Not all of us are going to be Kobe Bryant. That's not my point. My point is we all can get a little bit better each day in our unique genius zone. And if you do that, you become a very, very, very powerful person. I don't mean powerful in a negative way. I mean powerful, empowered. You become very empowered. So thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it. If this was preachy at all, I apologize. But
no, it was great.
That's what we're here for. And if anyone does want to reach out and get to the next level, we have a website called nextleveluniverse.com. We have a podcast called Next Level University. It's Next Level You. We always say not Next Level Kevin, not Next Level Alan, but Next Level You. Our tagline, it's brand new because we just evolved, is the awareness, habits, and strategies to become the most next level you. And you is in all caps. We do an episode every single day. It's anywhere from 15 minutes to 35 minutes every day. And it's designed to start your day off right, where you get at least a little bit better. 0.1% improvement in your pocket from anywhere on the planet, completely free. Next Level University, Next Level You. And if anyone wants to learn more about me, that's the place.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much. And, you know, your story reminds us of why we make these intentional decisions, little maybe dying to the fleshly desires a little bit, but we, 5 a.m. podcast, Rising Before Dawn, because transformation requires both the courage to face our deepest truths and the discipline to rebuild our lives around ourselves. And that path to becoming maybe our most productive or most effective, it does begin with that one small step and our alignment with others in what we do. So to our listeners, ladies and gentlemen, maybe you want to take that next step, get your business to that next level. And Alan's guidance sounds pretty good to me. So I encourage you to visit that Next Level University Business Coaching. We'll make sure the web address is up there, nextleveluniverse.com. And there's business consulting. You'll find a lot of resources for maybe starting, growing, scaling, monetizing. It depends where you are. Let's say there's a spectrum. There's a spot for you wherever you are. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, there's darkness, there's always dawn. Never forget that you have not written the last chapter of your story. Often the beginning of something maybe sounds profound, like Alan, you may find that courage to transform your challenge into purpose. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate you listening in on the 5 a.m. podcast. We appreciate you sharing this with your friends. Make sure you seize your day, you enjoy those sunrises and sunsets and all those adventures in between. This is the 5 a.m. podcast. I'm Michael Clausen. Thanks for watching the show. Just a reminder that you can get all of our resources, other episodes, and read our blog posts at 5ampodcast.com. 5 a.m. podcast is brought to you in part by mkci.ca, a certified member of the Autodesk Developer Network. MKCI helps companies maximize their AutoCAD, Inventor, Navisworks, and other design software investments. Their innovative products like the CommandSys script editor and the Clash Management Suite will streamline your workflow and boost your productivity. Visit mkci.ca today to discover how they can enhance your competitive CAD advantage. That's mkci.ca. Thank you for your support of 5 a.m. Podcast.